When we think of Africa, what often comes to mind are images shaped by centuries of misunderstanding. We might picture vast savannas and iconic wildlife, or perhaps stories of poverty and conflict, but these pictures are incomplete. They miss the real story of the continent. Africa is a place of immense diversity, home to thousands of cultures and languages. Its history is not a single simple tale but a rich and complex tapestry woven over millennia. It is a history of powerful empires, brilliant innovations, and profound philosophies. To truly understand Africa, we must look beyond the familiar stereotypes and uncover the deep, often hidden histories that have shaped its people and its destiny for thousands of years. This is not just a story of survival, but a story of civilization. The narrative often taught in schools in the West tends to begin with the arrival of Europeans. It presents Africa as a continent without a history of its own, waiting to be discovered. This could not be further from the truth. Long before European ships reached its shores, Africa was a continent buzzing with trade, art, and learning. Great cities flourished, and complex societies were built upon sophisticated systems of governance and law. From the rock art of the Sahara, which is thousands of years old, to the intricate bronze sculptures of Benin, Africa's past is written in stone, metal, and memory. It is a history that belongs not just to Africans, but to all of humanity, a vital chapter in the story of our shared world. To explore this history is to embark on a journey of discovery. It means traveling back in time to meet the builders of great monuments and the rulers of vast empires. It involves listening to the stories passed down through generations, the epic poems and the songs of praise that keep the memory of a vibrant past alive. We must challenge the old ideas that have for too long obscured this incredible heritage. By doing so, we not only gain a more accurate understanding of Africa, but also a deeper appreciation for the resilience and creativity of its people. The continent's history is a treasure trove, filled with lessons and inspirations that remain profoundly relevant today. Understanding Africa's past is not merely an academic exercise, it is essential for grasping its present and its future. The legacies of its ancient kingdoms continue to influence modern identities and political landscapes. The deep scars left by the transatlantic slave trade and colonial rule are still felt across the continent, shaping its economies and its relationships with the rest of the world. By uncovering these hidden histories, we can begin to see the connections between what happened long ago and what is happening now. We can appreciate the long struggle for freedom and self-determination that continues to define the African experience. It is a story that deserves to be told in all its richness and complexity. Long before the rise of Rome or the great civilizations of medieval Europe, Africa was home to powerful and sophisticated kingdoms. One of the most remarkable was the Kingdom of Axum, located in what is now modern-day Ethiopia and Eritrea. Flourishing from around 100 AD to 940 AD, Axum was a major player in the commercial world of its time, trading with the Roman Empire, Persia, and India. Its wealth was built on ivory, gold, and frankincense. The Axumites were also innovators. They created their own script, Ge'ez, and were one of the first empires in the world to officially adopt Christianity in the 4th century. Their legacy endures in the magnificent carved stone obelisks, or stelae, that still stand today in the city of Axum, silent witnesses to a glorious past. Further west, the Mali Empire dominated a vast swath of the continent from the 13th to the 16th century. Its fame and wealth were legendary, built upon control of the trans-Saharan trade routes that carried salt, gold, and other precious goods. The empire's most famous ruler, Mansa Musa, became one of the wealthiest individuals in all of history. His pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 was an event of spectacular proportions. He traveled with a caravan so vast and distributed so much gold that he reportedly caused inflation in the cities he visited. Under his rule, the city of Timbuktu became a world-renowned center of Islamic scholarship, boasting vast libraries and a bustling university that attracted scholars from across the globe. In southern Africa, another great civilization emerged, Great Zimbabwe. From the 11th to the 15th century, this kingdom thrived, building an impressive city whose ruins still inspire awe. The name Zimbabwe means stone houses, a fitting title for a city whose most famous feature is the Great Enclosure, a massive circular wall built with impeccably cut granite blocks, all without the use of mortar. This architectural marvel demonstrates a high level of engineering skill and social organization. The kingdom controlled the trade of gold and ivory from the interior to the Swahili coast, connecting it to a network that stretched all the way to China. The ruins are a powerful testament to a sophisticated society that existed in the heart of southern Africa. These empires challenge the myth of an undeveloped, isolated Africa. They show us a continent that was globally connected, innovative, and politically organized. The Kingdom of Kush in modern Sudan built more pyramids than ancient Egypt and for a time even ruled over it as the 25th dynasty. On the Swahili coast, city-states like Kilwa and Mombasa thrived on maritime trade across the Indian Ocean, creating a unique blend of African, Arab, and Persian cultures. These are not just footnotes in world history, they are central stories of human achievement, demonstrating the immense capacity for greatness that has always existed across the African continent. Their stories are crucial to building a complete picture of our world's past. Africa's history is not only one of great empires but also of remarkable individuals who led their people with courage and wisdom. One such figure is Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba in modern-day Angola. In the 17th century, she fought fiercely against the Portuguese, who sought to conquer her lands and enslave her people. Nzinga was a brilliant diplomat and military strategist. She learned Portuguese, negotiated treaties, and when diplomacy failed, she led her armies into battle. For decades, she resisted the colonial advance, becoming a powerful symbol of defiance. Her story is a testament to the strength and resilience of those who stood up against the overwhelming force of European expansion, a leader who refused to see her people subjugated. Another towering figure is Ya Asantewaa, the queen mother of the Ejisuhene of the Asante Empire in what is now Ghana. In 1900, when the British governor demanded the surrender of the golden stool, the sacred symbol of the Asante nation, the male leaders were hesitant to act. It was Ya Asantewaa who rose to her feet and rallied them to fight. She delivered a powerful speech, declaring that if the men would not go forward, then she and the women would. She led the Asante rebellion known as the War of the Golden Stool, a final valiant effort to defend their independence and their identity. Though ultimately unsuccessful, her bravery inspired her people and she remains a celebrated national hero in Ghana. Further back in time, we find figures like Sunni Ali, the founder of the Songhai Empire in the 15th century. A formidable military commander, he expanded his territory through a series of brilliant campaigns, creating one of the largest empires in African history. He was not just a conqueror, but also a skilled administrator who managed a diverse and complex state. He built a professional army and a fleet of war canoes to control the vital Niger River. His reign laid the foundation for a period of immense prosperity and cultural flourishing in the Songhai Empire, particularly under his successor, Askia the Great. Sunni Ali's legacy demonstrates the political and military sophistication that existed in West Africa long before the colonial era. These heroes and queens are not just characters from a distant past, they are symbols of enduring African values, courage, leadership, and a deep love for one's people and culture. Think of Shaka Zulu, the 19th century king who revolutionized warfare in southern Africa and built a powerful Zulu kingdom. Or Queen Amina of Zazzau, a Hausa warrior queen in 16th century Nigeria who expanded her kingdom's territory through military conquest. Their stories, often overlooked in mainstream historical accounts, are crucial. They remind us that Africa has always had its own powerful leaders, its own visionaries, and its own indomitable spirit of resistance against oppression, a spirit that would fuel the later movements for independence. The arrival of European powers marked a dark and transformative period in African history. The transatlantic slave trade, which lasted for over 400 years, tore millions of people from their homes, causing unimaginable suffering and destabilizing entire societies. This was followed by the scramble for Africa in the late 19th century, when European nations carved up the continent amongst themselves, drawing arbitrary borders that ignored existing ethnic, linguistic, and political realities. Colonial rule was imposed through violence and exploitation. African resources were plundered, economies were restructured to serve European interests, and traditional systems of governance were dismantled or distorted. This period left deep and lasting scars on the continent. Despite the brutality of colonial rule, the spirit of resistance never died. Africans fought back in countless ways, from armed uprisings to subtle acts of cultural defiance. After the Second World War, a powerful wave of independence movements swept across the continent. Leaders like Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana, Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya, and Leopold Sedar Senghor in Senegal rose to prominence, articulating a vision of a free and self-determining Africa. They organized political parties, led protests, and negotiated with the colonial powers. The dream of freedom, long suppressed, was now being demanded. Ghana's independence in 1957 was a pivotal moment, inspiring other nations to follow suit and break the chains of colonialism. Achieving independence was a monumental victory, but it was only the beginning of a new and difficult journey. The newly independent nations faced immense challenges. They inherited the arbitrary borders drawn by the colonizers, which often grouped rival ethnic groups together and led to internal conflicts. Their economies were weak and still heavily dependent on their former colonial rulers. The legacy of divide and rule policies had sown seeds of mistrust and division. The Cold War turned Africa into another battleground for the superpowers, further complicating the political landscape. The path to building stable, prosperous, and truly independent nations has been a long and arduous struggle, one that continues to this day. Understanding this history of colonization and liberation is vital for understanding contemporary Africa. It explains many of the political and economic challenges the continent faces, but it also highlights its incredible resilience. The story of Africa in the 20th century is one of throwing off foreign domination and beginning the monumental task of nation building. It is a story of hope, struggle, and the enduring quest for dignity and sovereignty. By acknowledging this complex past, we can better appreciate the progress that has been made and the immense potential that lies in Africa's future. The continent's journey is far from over, but its history shows that its people have the strength and determination to shape their own destiny.